It was the morning of Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2000. In the quiet town of Shelby, North Carolina, a mother gently opened the door to her daughter's room to wake her for school. The bed was empty, neatly made. No signs of struggle, no mess, no noise in the night. Just a quiet, gaping absence. 9-year-old Asha Degree was gone, and what unfolded over the next 2 decades would become one of the most haunting and bizarre child disappearance cases in American history. Asha Degree was not the kind of child anyone expected to vanish. She was raised in a loving, religious home. Her parents, Aquila and Harold Degree, were hardworking, protective, and deeply involved in their children's lives. The Degrees were cautious. They didn't even own a computer. There were no television shows with bad influence, no chat rooms, no strangers. The family went to church every Sunday, prayed at meals, and made sure the children stayed close to home. Asha herself was quiet, studious, and sweet. She loved reading, especially mythology and stories about people who triumphed over adversity. She was a good student, shy in crowds, and fiercely cautious. Afraid of dogs, afraid of storms, and not the kind of child who would ever run away. That's what makes what happened so chilling. On the night of February 13th, the day before her disappearance, the Degrees celebrated their wedding anniversary. The children, Asha and her older brother O'Brien, went to bed around 8 p.m. A storm rolled in later that night. Heavy wind, torrential rain. The power went out temporarily around 9 p.m., then came back on after midnight. At 12:30 a.m., Harold came home from his second shift job and checked on the children. They were asleep, undisturbed. But something changed in the hours that followed. Between 2:30 and 3:15 a.m., O'Brien remembers hearing Asha's bed creak. He assumed she was just shifting in her sleep. But she wasn't. Sometime after that, Asha quietly got out of bed, dressed in a white t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers, grabbed her backpack, which she had secretly packed with clothes, personal items, and candy, and walked out the front door, into the darkness, into the storm. No one saw her leave. No one heard a door open. It wasn't until 6:30 a.m. that Aquila came to wake her daughter for school and found the bed empty. At first, she thought Asha was in the bathroom, then maybe with a neighbor, but the cold dread crept in quickly. Asha wasn't anywhere. Panic set in. Police were called. The community responded instantly. By mid-morning, a massive search had begun. But this wasn't a typical abduction. There were no broken windows, no signs of forced entry, no struggle, no scream. Dogs tracked her scent for a short distance before it vanished. Then came the first eerie clue. 2 motorists reported seeing a small figure walking along Highway 18 between 3:30 and 4:15 a.m. A girl matching Asha's description, alone in the rain. One driver turned around to check, but by the time he got back, she had disappeared. It seemed impossible. Why would a sheltered 9-year-old girl, one who was afraid of the dark and terrified of storms, leave her warm bed to walk miles down a highway in a storm in the dead of night? That day, search crews discovered some of her belongings near a shed, about a mile from her house. Candy wrappers, a pencil, a marker, and a hair bow. But nothing else. No footprints, no sign of where she went next. It was like she vanished into the earth. Over the next week, over 9,000 man-hours were poured into the search. Helicopters scanned from the sky. Bloodhounds sniffed through woods. Neighbors and volunteers scoured ditches, culverts, and barns. But Asha had evaporated. Not a single confirmed sighting came in after that morning. Rumors swirled, but no evidence emerged. Then, over a year later, a shocking break. In August 2001, 26 miles north of her home, Asha's backpack was discovered. It had been buried in plastic bags in a wooded area near a construction site, off Highway 18. The same highway she was last seen walking down. The bag was verified as hers. It contained clothes, school papers, and a New Kids on the Block t-shirt, an item no one in her family recalled giving her. Someone had deliberately hidden that backpack. Someone had taken time to wrap it, bury it, and leave it where no one would stumble across it easily. That discovery shattered the idea that Asha was simply lost. Someone had taken her, or something had happened, and someone had tried to erase the evidence. But the backpack raised more questions than it answered. Who had it? Why was it hidden there? What happened between the moment she left her house and the moment her trail vanished? And if she had met someone, how? She didn't talk to strangers. She didn't go online. Her parents were always watching. Yet clearly, something had been going on beneath the surface. One theory that investigators have quietly explored is that Asha may have been manipulated. That perhaps someone, a family acquaintance, a school connection, a church member, had slowly gained her trust. There's a possibility someone convinced her to meet them in secret, telling her it had to be at night, that it had to be a secret, that it would be okay. Children are impressionable. And Asha was trusting. In 2016, police received a tip about a man who may have been involved in attempted child luring around the time of Asha's disappearance. Authorities said they were reinvestigating old suspects, but refused to release names. The FBI increased the reward to $45,000. New age progression sketches were released, but no arrests were made. No one confessed. A jailhouse informant once told police that Asha's remains were buried at a specific location. Authorities searched it, but found nothing. Another tip involved a man with a green car seen near the area that morning. Again, nothing confirmed.
The hardest thing about Asha's case is its silence.
In most child abductions, someone talks. A neighbor hears something. A suspect slips up. Evidence is left behind. But in this case, the quiet is deafening. As if Asha slipped through reality itself. Some speculate that she was abducted shortly after the second motorist saw her on the road. Maybe someone had been following her movements for days, waiting for the right moment. Others believe she got lost in the woods and succumbed to the elements. But that doesn't explain the buried backpack. That doesn't explain the secrecy. That doesn't explain why a child who feared the dark would flee into a thunderstorm. Her family refuses to give up. Every year on the anniversary of her disappearance, they hold a walk in her honor. They post flyers, organize events, speak to the press. Aquila, her mother, became an advocate for missing children, turning her grief into a tireless mission to bring her daughter home. "You never stop being a mother," she says, "even when your child is missing, especially when they're missing." Today, the billboard still stands along Highway 18, with Asha's sweet face looking down. It reads, "Have you seen this child?" And though it's been more than 2 decades, the hope in those eyes has never faded. For many in Shelby, Asha's case is no longer just a missing persons file. It's a wound, a question that won't close, a secret the town keeps waiting to give up. Somewhere out there, someone knows. Someone saw something. Someone helped. Someone buried that backpack. And someone has stayed quiet all these years. It only takes one person, one phone call, one confession, one witness to finally answer the question that's been haunting North Carolina since 2000. What happened to Asha Degree? Until then, the image remains. A little girl, clutching her bag, stepping into a stormy night, swallowed by shadows. A 9-year-old ghost walking down a rain-slicked highway. Not running away, not running to anyone, just running. And perhaps the most terrifying part? We still don't know why.